podcast.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a podcast?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and
podcast.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
All right, in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everyone, welcome to Get to the Podcast. That's Get to the Podcast with the number 2. My name is Tiago de Souza.
I'm Nick Gambino.
And I'm Neil Carson.
And it's Halloween, bitches!
It's Halloween! Wow. We made it to another Halloween. That's like, I use that as a milestone every year. Like, okay, if I could just make it to Halloween, I'll be all right.
Isn't it
They
through
just like
Halloween?
Well, we started the podcast after Halloween.
Yeah, well, originally,
yeah.
This is our 30th.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying, I was like, wait, we haven't been
No, like physically. Like, I feel like I'm going to die every day, and I feel like if I could just make it to that next Halloween.
You might want to see a doctor.
Listen, today's Halloween. We're going to talk about, death and the things, the inner. If you can't talk about your demons
Wait,
on
is Halloween
Halloween,
today?
when can you? Yes.
What
today's
is
Halloween.
wrong with you? Talking about
This
demons?
is not a pre-recorded
movie.
episode. This is absolutely.
It's live.
Yeah,
This is live right now.
This is live.
Yes.
On Halloween. On
Yeah,
All
say
Hallows
something,
Eve.
and it won't be cut out. Put you on the spot.
Wait.
You can't tell me to say something, because then I might have to say something.
All right, so what is horror?
What is horror?
What are horror films?
Yeah.
What are horror?
That's scary.
What kind of fucking question is that?
Okay. It's a psychological question because
Yeah.
it's different for everyone.
Right.
It's true.
Well, I think I mean, it is interesting because horror can be broken down into so many. It's a genre, but it itself has so many subgenres, right?
Yeah.
Like at one point, it seemed like a scary movie was just a scary movie, but somewhere around like the 70s, early 80s, things just started getting fucking weird. You had psychological horrors, you had thrillers that were almost like horrors. You had slasher flicks with Halloween, kind of like started that whole genre. You had supernatural horrors. You had your Hellraisers. You had your gore,
Fantasy horror.
fantasy horror.
Yeah.
So even comedy horror is a thing, like Shaun of the Dead, Zombieland. That's
You had
Scary
films that
movie,
David
yeah.
Lynch came out with,
Yeah.
like Blue Velvet, which, you're like, oh, Blue Velvet. That's not a, you watch the trailer, you're like, that's not
sounds
weird.
great.
Crazy movie,
Right.
Like horror could be like a movie about the psychopath. You know what I'm
The
saying?
new movie coming out, The Snowman.
Snowman, yeah. So that goes with lines of
Serial
your
killers.
Silence of the Lambs types.
Yeah.
So many people. I remember over the years, people were like, "Yeah, Silence of the Lambs is a scary movie. It's a horror movie." And I'm like, "Is it?" But then I guess it
there's
is
thriller.
depending on.
It's a psychological thriller.
genre,
Yeah.
But thriller
But
is like
thriller
a fine line between horror and
sometimes
thriller.
it gets
Yeah.
horror. Like that whole scene at the end of Silence of the Lambs with the night vision goggles is fucking creepy. And like when he escapes, when Hannibal Lecter escapes and gets cuts the guy's fucking face off and puts it on his own face.
Yeah.
Like these are gross, scary scenes when he wakes up in the ambulance or whatever. These could be considered horror.
I feel like Hollywood puts like the films that they have in the horror category are considered like lower quality films, and then thriller is like where you can put like the Oscar contenders. Like
Yes.
you can call it a thriller, and it's like, but it's still a horror
Robert De
movie.
Niro's
But
in there. Yeah.
Horror gets bad rap like comedy does at the Oscars. You know what I mean? You never hear about an actual horror film winning anything.
Is it because
Well,
there's so many horror films that come out that are like B grade films?
Like B films?
Like B
movies?
yeah,
B
B
movies,
films,
yeah.
and compared to other films, there's a lot of horror films out there that are just like
Schlock.
they're easy
just-
to make.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
nudity. There's blood. There's like I feel like they're an easy thing to produce.
get
and-
attention to. I
Yeah,
think
and
too.
it's like a shock value thing. It's
Yeah.
like people go to they're like, oh my god, leg got chopped off or
Right.
something, and
Yeah. Yeah, then you have like the jump scare, the movies that are all about the jump scare, and there's ones that are just disturbing and unsettling, like The Shining.
yeah.
The Shining is not necessarily a jump scare movie, but it's very unsettling.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah,
And-
it's like this. It's like just like towards the end of the film, like when things start to get out of control.
Jesus.
It's like that whole last
Dude.
20 minutes is just this tone of like building this like weird tension, and
Yeah.
you're just like upset, and you don't know why. You're
Yeah.
like, I mean, yeah, I guess.
So while we're can I just real quick, just because it's a perfect segue from what he just said. But hold that, because I'm actually interested. I'm looking in your eyes right
Why
now.
are we here? What is wrong
I feel
with
like
him?
whatever you're about to say was very significant, and I want to hear it, but also I want to talk first. So
I already forgot what we were
conflicted.
talking about.
You were just talking about The Shining real quick. So Neil and I and a few friends actually went down to Universal Orlando a couple weeks ago, and we did Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios.
That's true.
Dude, we
Amazing.
did 9 haunted houses and 5 what they call scare zones in one night. It was pouring rain. We were running through the streets of Universal Studios, soaking fucking wet, jumping between haunted houses themed. There were haunted house, a Shining themed haunted house,
Which was amazing.
amazing. I mean, there was millions upon millions of dollars put into these houses. These are like high grade haunted houses. We went to a Saw. They had one based off Saw.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
House. Bloomhouse.
Bloomhouse, which had
Productions.
like Insidious rooms and
Sinister and The
Sinister.
Purge.
Yeah.
Oh, The Purge.
The Purge was so they did the scare zones, and these were just paths that you would walk through, like just areas of the park you would walk through to get to another haunted house, and there were just people throughout here that would like just fucked up, like guys from The Purge with the masks and the spiked bats and machetes, and they would just walk through and just stare you down.
It was like an
or stand
alarm
in your
that would go
path.
off. Remember, it was like, whirr, like the beginning of
Thank
The
you.
Purge.
And then you'd hear over the speaker, "Thank you for supporting The Purge."
Oh, it was-
And then
it
they
was
would do it
scary.
like, and then
It
they
was
had this bus
disturbing.
up there, and they had like a sacrifice of a woman, and they would be like, "Who should we kill first?" They'd have 3 women, and if people would cheer, like
People were
crowds.
like way too into it. I was like,
like-
I'm getting uncomfortable.
Okay, so they had this whole demonstration. This guy's up
Like the
there.
audience.
This guy's up there with 3 women. He's like, which girl should we kill first? And he's like licking her face and got a knife at her throat. And people are like, kill that bitch, kill that one. And me and Neil are looking at each other like, are you fucking serious?
Yeah, we were like, boo.
We were like, no, this is not okay. We will not stand for this. This is unethical. And everybody else was like, kill that bitch. Like, oh my God, you people need to calm down.
It made me very.
Holy
I was
shit.
like, I feel like we should get out of the zone because people are getting too into the
Yes,
zone.
they're
So
getting
basically,
worked
you're
on.
saying that society should never be at that point
Oh
because
no, we were like on
We
the verge
learned
of
that-
a real purge.
It was a glimpse into what would actually happen.
Yeah.
Real
I'm like,
purge.
so the purge is real.
But The Shining was cool. The haunted house you go through, and there were all these actors basically dressed up like Jack Nicholson and Shelley
the
Duvall.
twins.
Yeah.
The twins.
Yeah.
They had 2 little girls that were
Red
like
Rum.
twins. And you're walking through the house, and it's all dimly lit and kind of strobe lighty and
Yeah.
weird. You hear the music going, and then all of a sudden they just kind of step out of the doorway holding hands in little blue dresses. And then
When they,
little Tommy or Timmy or whatever, Tommy I think it is
Yeah.
on his little big wheel facing a mirror. It's like,
Shit, what is his name?
ooh,
I don't know.
The waiter.
I don't remember
the
the little
bartender?
kid,
Yeah,
the little kid from the film.
Yeah,
Tommy
yeah.
or Timmy? It's one of the 2.
Timmy.
Timmy. It's
Timmy.
Timmy, right?
No, I don't think it was Timmy.
I think it's Timmy.
I thought it was Timmy.
Because he says his
Maybe
name.
I'm
Remember,
thinking
Jack
South
Nicholson's
Park?
screaming his name at the end of the film the whole time.
Okay.
Anyway, so,
It's probably
so,
not the significant.
so here's my
question.
question. So what is it about?
I got it. It's right here.
What, just-
real quick. It's
Because
Danny.
yeah, Danny.
Danny
It's
boy.
In the,
Danny boy.
Yeah, in the
His real name is Danny.
In the haunted house or whatever. At the end, all you hear is Jack Nicholson screaming, "Danny!"
That's
Because you're
right.
walking through. They actually rebuilt the hedge maze, and it's like snowing. You're
Yes.
inside a haunted house in a hedge maze, and it's fun. Like there's, I mean, it was like.
And at
bubbles,
the end,
but it
he's
looked
like,
Yeah,
snow.
yeah.
There's like snow falling, and you just hear him screaming like, "Danny!" And then you see
That's-
him like frozen.
Frozen.
I was like, this is
And he just
insane.
sit- he just
this is
sitting
so
right there.
crazy.
It's crazy.
That's
it was
badass. I would love to see it like his eyes because I remember his eyes from the movie when he was frozen. So
It was really cool though.
So here's my question.
Yeah.
So what is it about horror films, scary films that get you guys?
Well, I mean, first off, I think I like horror films. They're not like some people like get off on with horror films. No, what I mean is they love to watch horror films. It's like a thing they love to do. And
Yeah.
For me,
people
it's not a love.
The
Yeah.
people I know like love to be scared.
Yes.
like that's why they watch it. Like that, they're actually. What's weird too is like you. I thought that they like actually liked horror movies. Like they can watch them by themselves, not that they like can't watch it by themselves.
Really?
Like they love the feeling
thrill.
of being scared and that thrill. But
They
like
need a safe. They need a
they're, still,
safety
they're
net.
actually terrified. Like I can watch a horror movie and it doesn't particularly scare me. And I don't know if
Yeah.
it's just because I know too much about how films are made and my suspension of disbelief is like
Yeah.
not as good as it used to be.
Right.
I'm like, oh, CG. Oh,
Is it suspension
fake
of disbelief
blood,
or suspension of belief? Which one is it?
I don't know. Isn't it, what's the saying?
I think what you said is right, but it's just it always sounded wrong to me.
Yeah, it does sound wrong to me too. but I
Suspension
still
of
say it.
disbelief. If you're suspending your disbelief, it's a double negative, so that means you believe.
You believe.
You believe.
So I guess a suspension of disbelief is right.
There you go.
Okay.
We worked it out.
Okay, we got it. Go ahead.
There you go, guys. In case
Science.
you guys got caught up on that.
Okay, but but they want to be scared, but they need a psychological safety net, meaning they need somebody in the room, they need a light on or something. But they like the
Or
thrill of
wanna be in
it,
the
like
theater
people who
with
like
a
to
group of people. You know, you're at a movie theater, you're surrounded by other people, so you feel kind of safe.
Dude,
and you
since
can, like,
Scream
enjoy
2,
it.
I don't feel safe in a movie theater or a horror film.
Yeah, very true.
Seriously, Scream 2, the beginning of that movie? Come on. I can't go to the bathroom in a bathroom stall in a movie theater without thinking of that scene when is it Omar Epps? He hears the whimpering and he listens
Who
to
put their ear on a dirty ass stall wall and like
That's
You're
hilarious.
fine.
Pissing
There's
shit.
no ceiling.
I know.
There's no like
not
covering
sound
the bottom.
buffer or anything.
It's
And
not like
just-
let me put my ear to the stall door, the stall wall, and I'm gonna hear this whimpering better. And they're not really saying.
I'll tell you
much.
right now, like those walls are solid as shit. There ain't nobody's gonna jam a knife through that
I know.
wall. Like that was
And how
fake.
did he know exactly where his head was, and how did he know he put his head there at that moment?
Well, killer always know. They always
That's-
make the killer like somehow know more or more able.
That's
or
part
more-
of the thing with
more
horror
foresight.
films.
Yeah.
That's part of the things with horror films for me.
the
I
mystery.
go, but that's part of why I go, I don't believe it. Like, I don't really think, I don't see this and go, oh yeah, I'm scared, because I'm like, that's ridiculous in a way. I do enjoy a good horror film, but at the same time I watch that and I go, yeah, like if a guy came out with a Ghostface costume and a knife, I'm like, it's still just a man in a costume. So you just get over your fear of it and you fight back, you do something about it. But like they always, just because they're in a costume doesn't make them superhuman.
I will say, like, I feel like in the
But
real
it's
world,
that uncommon thing that happens in front of you that you don't
buckle in
realize.
fear.
and you buckle in fear.
That is
yeah.
true.
But the other thing is like a lot of times these horror films have that trope of like they take a person that you would assume to be a weaker individual
Yes.
that wouldn't be able to potentially fight back.
Yes.
So they had to flee.
That's
because
true.
they weren't physically strong enough to fight the
Yeah.
villain or the person who's chasing them. That's something that they do a lot. So as an audience, you're like, oh, this chick has no chance to survive.
That's true.
This guy's like 5 times the size of her.
That is
Yeah.
true.
And
But
they always
it's-
give him like superhuman
And the guy's
strength or
always
something.
watching a porno or in bed jerking off or something like that. So he's already in his most vulnerable position anyways.
He's disabled.
He's never working out or cleaning a gun. It's not like that. He's always in his most weakest form. But the thing is, I liked about Scream, which
I don't know.
So, okay,
I've never
wait, hold on
seen
a second.
somebody
So,
jerking off.
this
and then, like, a
literally
killer
went to
come and
like.
kill
come on, it's a thing.
So the question was what gets you from
Yes.
Scary Movie, and this was such a political answer.
we went everywhere.
We totally.
And it
this
gets
is
even
how
more
I'll make
complex
America better.
because-
But I want to say something about Scream real quick. Is like this whole, because of part of it, I go, oh, this is not real, because a lot of times the killer, even Michael Myers, he's like never really getting stopped. He's never getting hurt. He's kind of always just coming, and there doesn't seem to be anything to stop him, which is cool in a way, but it gets old. But Scream, they were getting fucked up. Like they were getting bottles thrown at them, and they were falling, and they were tripping, and they were smashing into things.
And then one of them,
you got
I
the idea
think-
they were just like hopped up on some sort of drug, the way they wildly kept coming, but at the same time they were getting hurt.
I thought that was a great thing, like a
Added thing.
nuanced thing to the film is like how frantic the killer seemed
Yes.
in his motions and his movements. Like
Yes.
he was very like athletic.
Yes, he's very athletic, but at the same time, he was getting hurt. He was getting refrigerator doors smashed into his head. He was getting things
So
broken
is it
over his head.
the
and-
sense of realism?
So what
that kinda-
gets us going?
So let me explain.
I mean, for me, okay, what kind of movies scare me? And movies don't
yeah.
scare me
Well,
very much anymore.
I feel like the type of films that scare me are I feel like I mentioned this before, but like David Lynch type stuff, like Twin Peaks,
Psychological.
like Mulholland Drive. Like even though these are considered dramas or thrillers or like Blue Velvet, like a film that like messes with somebody's psyche or something, messes with their mind or something like it. Like those type of films seem to disturb me more, especially if there's kind of like a twist.
yeah.
Or somebody like if you watch a film and it's like somebody's dwindling spiral into madness, like that upsets me more than watching like the worst horror, Saw 17 or
Right.
or whatever, or
So, like,
Hostel 7 or
You were
something.
mentioning before, like sometimes even movies people wouldn't consider horror films. You
Yeah,
would
like I
almost
don't think
consider-
people consider like Mulholland. Like, the movie was nominated for multiple Oscars. Like the main actress won an Oscar.
Naomi Watts.
Naomi Watts won an Oscar for that film. Like, but I watched that movie and I'm upset. And I'm like, this movie upsets the hell out of me.
Yeah.
But it's like, and to me, it's a scary upset. It's like, it's like disturbing.
Or
Yeah.
you were saying before, Fatal Attractions with Glenn Close and Michael Douglas.
Fatal Attraction is a scary
Which is like,
movie.
it's what is it about? I mean, it's like
It's literally about a guy who's like, his infidelity, sleeps with this woman, and then she becomes fixated on him.
He's just banging a girl that wants to kill him.
And
now.
yeah, it was
Like,
some chick. It was like
yeah.
a client of his company's, and then she's like, "We're married now," and
Gets
he's like,
upset.
"But we just banged one time," and then
Right.
she like becomes more and more unhinged, and then eventually tries to like murder him and his
boils the
family.
bunny.
So it's the realism
bad.
of a film that gets you.
Something that could almost
Yeah.
like really happen, but it's psychologically disturbing to you.
Like, to me, what's-
unsettling.
Yeah.
To me, what gets me is when they take away the sense of purpose of why the killer is doing this.
Right.
Right.
Because
There's
it's
no
like
reason.
there's no reason, and like my brain's like freaked out about it because I don't understand. It's like
Well, that
this
was the big
person
theme in-
is
He's just pure
Scream.
evil.
it's pure. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
this pure evil.
That was one of the themes in Scream, where they're like, he at the end, the killers are like, did what's his name have a reason? Did this person have a reason? He just starts. He's like,
Stu wanted to get famous, and
yeah.
Billy
Although, I mean,
was getting back for
technically they
his
had
mom.
a reason because
They all had a reason.
Yeah.
Sydney's mom was like a hoe bag. Like,
Yeah, it was-
banging.
that was
She
for
broke
Bill-
up
that was
the-
Billy's. Yeah,
that was
Billy, yeah,
Billy's.
'cause Billy's
but Stu was
mom-
just like, sure, this seems like a good idea. Let's murder people.
Yeah, Stu was like he wanted to be famous, and he wanted to
Yeah.
be. He was just crazy. He was actually just a crazy person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys jump like when there's
Not-
jump out scenes?
You know, it's funny. Not
Sometimes.
really. I
Sometimes.
haven't really jumped, or even jumped at all in a very long time. It's. I think I probably, in a way, make it so that I don't jump. Like I watch a movie and I'm like, okay, this is a scary movie intended to make me jump. So what am I going to do? I'm not going to jump, and I'll be
But
like,
you feel like
it's
a rise
movie.
in your like blood pressure. Or something.
Yeah.
You feel like an internal jolt. You're like,
Every now and then.
See,
Every
that's
now
what I
and
get.
then.
I get an internal jolt.
But
I don't jump. I just get internal.
But the thing is, the jump scare has become predictable at this point. You know the way in which they're going, the way in which they're moving, the way in which the camera's moving, the music. That's that scene, right in the new movie, in the bathroom,
Yeah.
where she's with her, she smacks her dad over the head with the toilet lid thing,
Yeah.
toilet seat lid, like the back
Yeah.
of it, and she hits him. And the way in which they were doing the camera movement, I knew that Pennywise was going to be there when she turned around.
But that scene is in the trailer.
No, that scene is not.
No,
in the
it's
I
not.
brought
trailer.
this up. Yeah. Well,
No.
they don't show that entire scene, but they do show that pan to Pennywise standing there in one of the second or
Oh,
third
really?
trailer they
Okay.
released for the film. So when I saw that happen, I was like, oh, he's going to be there. Like it upset me that I watched a trailer.
Yeah.
But I will say, like,
But I didn't remember
depending
that from
on
the trailer, but I noticed I knew with the way in which they were doing the movement and the way in which she was like kind of like staying in that she was
Yeah.
staying in the position she was staying.
Some of the
and the camera
setups.
started moving before she was doing it. So I
But
saw
that's
it
only
all.
because
you already
like,
knew what was going to happen.
As
so.
like filmmakers, you guys can like predict some of these things. You can see how the camera is moving and kind of predict based on like how you would do it. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, they're getting ready to set. If you
Yeah.
know it's a scary movie going in, and the camera does
That's what
these
it
weird pans, you're like, dude's gonna jump out, and
Yeah.
it's like,
Right.
and I hear the music's quiet, and it's gonna slam me, and then they're gonna show something.
Right.
I will say though, depending, like if I'm like like dead sober and I watch a scary movie, like nothing happens. if I get a little tipsy or something and I watch it, it like throws off my ability to predict because I'm a little more, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not as in
That which I
control
don't
of
like.
your
Then I'm just like,
faculties.
I can't handle this. This is because then I'm like unprepared.
Right.
I'm not like with it.
yeah.
Right.
Because then you get tricked. You're like, you're not paying attention 100%.
Right.
So what's one movie that you think in Halloween right now this year
Yeah.
that people should watch to get the most freaked out about?
Jeez, I don't know. I mean, because I don't get scared in movies anymore. But
Do you
want to
be like
kid,
upset? Like
It depends what
like
you want.
really upset, or do you want to be scared and have fun?
Just to
It's
get
not
the
that-
most out of
or
it.
do you want to just
Yeah.
watch something that's like a Halloween-ish themed horror thing, but you don't want to fucking lose your shit? I'll tell you one of the newer movies to do that. If you don't want to lose your shit, watch Get Out. Get Out's a good. It's considered
that's
a horror film, but it's a nice twist and everything like that. But it's not scary particularly.
I didn't think it was scary.
It's
No, but if you
psychologically
want to watch a
crazy.
themed movie that's a Halloween themed movie,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you want one with like kind of training wheels on it in terms of the
it's not
scares.
really a Halloween.
psychological
themed
It's a
thriller.
horror. No, well, I'm just saying Halloween
horror.
horror. It's not
Oh.
how many movies take
Oh,
place
there's a
on
lot
Halloween?
of movies that focus
Halloween,
specific on.
Hocus Pocus, you know,
Did you
stuff
see?
like that.
Did you
but
see Trick or Treat?
I didn't, but
Treat.
we talked about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but what I'm not
That's
talking about
also-
Halloween
that's a
themed. I'm
good-
talking about horror
that's good.
themed. Like some people just like to watch a horror film around Halloween.
Yeah.
So if you want to watch one, but you're one of those people who doesn't like to get jump scared, you don't like to be completely unsettled mentally, watch Get Out. It's a really good movie. It's different types of twists on it, but it doesn't actually have anything that gets you like really worked up.
I do agree with Neil. I don't know if that's a Halloween. you explain the movie like it's a great film. It's just this incredible psychological thriller.
But what
And
would you tell the people
story-
who don't want to get the
I
shit
feel like
scared out of them?
Halloween though.
That's not what I'm
is
telling.
more
I
like
want people to get their shit.
when you.
scared.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I feel
I'm
like
trying
when
to
you-
give people a fucking option here. Shit.
But when you think of Halloween, I think more of like something that's more fantastical generally for Halloween. Like for Halloween, I would probably watch like
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
but I would watch like some of the Halloween films or something like that. Like films that take place around that
I'm
time
just giving
period that
somebody an
tie
option
into-
who doesn't want to do that shit because not everybody that's listening to this is gonna like horror films, right?
Well, like
Or
the
you can watch something
fantastical,
like,
scary movies, the
yeah.
fantastical ones,
The Evil
like,
Dead.
Yeah,
It's
Evil
really
Dead
scary.
is
It's a little
fun.
fun.
Yeah, Evil Dead. You
Fun.
could even watch the original Halloween, even though it's freaky. That it's not as jump scary as we remember it when if you rewatch
not.
it because they perfected the jump scare in the last 10 years or so.
Yeah.
it's sort of like you watch the original Halloween and it doesn't do that as much. It doesn't do that thing where the camera turns and things right there and then it jumps out and the sound hits at the exact same time. It's like it's literally you're being manipulated.
Yeah.
Like and Halloween didn't do that as much.
Yeah.
Um,
There was a movie I watched that was like an indie film that God, the actress, and I didn't realize this at the time, but I watched the movie Split, M. Night Shyamalan
Yeah.
Split, which I thought was really,
God,
really
that was
good.
great. That was
Yeah. And the main chick in that was actually the main actress in this
Oh.
movie. It's called The Witch.
yeah,
And it was like it's this indie film. It takes place in like, I don't know, 1600s, 1700s or
Yeah.
something. It's an interesting movie because the dialogue of the film, they're speaking in like authentic tongue.
Not a lot
like
of contractions.
authentic accents.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's like hard a little bit to like understand what they're saying because they speak very Shakespearean almost, like in the way they talk.
Almost
and so you're
Old
kind of
English.
like, yeah, very, very, very old English. So it's a little jarring that way, but goddamn, is that disturbing movie?
Do you know what movie really?
Very upsetting movie, I will say.
remember you said that when you
has,
saw it, yeah.
it has some upsetting moments that are like they didn't have to do that, but they did it. They didn't have to go there, but
Right.
they went there, and I appreciate, I guess, that they were willing to go there, but at
Yeah.
the same time, I was also very disturbed.
Right.
But that's not a fun movie to watch.
Right.
It's more of like if you like to be
Disturbed.
upset.
Right.
If
Okay.
you want something that upsets you, watch The Witch.
Watch The Witch. Yeah.
You know, and like
It's from like
the
what, 2
acting
years
is
ago?
great.
2 years ago?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
about 2 years ago.
That was very That
Did you see it?
Oh yeah, that was just that goat scene.
Oh my
It
god,
it's crazy.
I forget what the goat's name was too. The goat had a name. It was
yeah.
like Leroy or
the
some
trailer.
weird-
Like I was
Leroy.
like, but see, here's the
it's like
thing.
a weird goat name.
When I saw the
Major
trailer,
character, this goat.
I hope his name
I
was
knew
Leroy.
that film was going to be disturbing. I was like, oh, I need to watch this.
Yeah.
I think this is one of those films that is going to get me.
Yeah.
And it got me, like not like jumping or anything, but it was just like
You were just like, ugh, like you had to
this
take a
is
shower of like,
yeah, you wanted to
grossness.
wash that movie off. But another film that it doesn't remind The Witch doesn't remind me of this, but I think it was very disturbing just because the way the story went was The Perfume.
yes, Perfume. It was the murderer film.
The
It was
murderer
like,
film.
Alan Rickman's in it.
Yeah.
I forget who the main actor is, but he's
He was that
also-
kid that was in he was in
been in-
007. He's
Yeah.
he
No,
played Q.
no, he's like a younger.
No, not Q.
actor.
He played Q, right? The smart kid.
Was it that
is he,
actor?
Is he the
Yeah,
is he
yeah.
Michael Banks from the new Mary Poppins Returns movie?
He
that's
is.
coming out?
Yeah.
that guy.
Okay.
exactly.
He played
yeah.
Q.
Yeah, he played Q. Yeah. So
Fuck that movie, man. Perfume was a fucking nightmare.
because this guy is trying to create perfume by killing women.
And extracting,
their
their
essence.
their pheromones or something from
Jesus.
their
It is
skin. He like
freaking
perfected this.
You have never
thing.
seen this
I've never
film?
even heard
It's
of
called
it.
Perfume: The Story of a Murderer, and, and the whole film takes place in like the 1800s. Or
Yeah,
some shit.
exactly.
18th century France, where this kid is like born in like the gutter.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
literally, this movie opens with this woman.
You need to watch this
who's
film.
pregnant, and this baby she's like working in a
wasn't-
shop, and the baby just falls out.
Yeah.
Like on the ground.
While
like
she's
the
working.
dirty
It
ground.
sounds like Monty
With, like,
Python and the
umbilical-
the
Yeah, it
meanings of
seems-
life.
You would
The meaning
think
of
it'd be
life.
humorous, but they're like, no, this is real.
Right.
And you're
Yeah.
like, the fuck? is
It's
my life
crazy.
fake?
Wow.
They're like, it's crazy because the baby gets born. She just takes it and puts it aside. Yeah. She puts it aside and she keeps working.
Jesus.
It's
Have you guys ever seen Separate from Hell?
Yes.
From Hell?
I
Yeah.
love that movie.
I
Johnny
saw
Depp,
it
Heather
twice,
Graham.
yeah.
Yeah, like it's the Jack the Ripper story because Jack the Ripper is
Ian
very
Holm is
interesting.
in it.
Ian Holmes
Heather
in it.
Graham, Johnny Depp.
But it's
Johnny Depp,
cool
yeah.
because Johnny Depp plays the inspector and investigating the Jack the Ripper murders in the 1800s in I guess London. And I really liked. I don't know, that movie definitely has horror elements to it, but I like how they actually solve the Jack the Ripper story at the end. So you're not watching a movie. Because it's a movie about real things that happen, but it's not like Jack the Ripper's never been completely solved, but this movie solves it.
No, there have been a lot of recent theories
theories
actually,
and people that
who,
are saying this is what happened. Right, but there's no definitive this is exactly what happened because there's like 3 or 4 different theories going around.
Well, anyway, I don't want to get.
I know the whole
Jack the Ripper
blood drench.
thing.
They found the blood drench thing and they connected it to that guy who.
There was a guy who left, like, who was in like the. God, what the hell was it? It was a guy who's in like left the United States,
Guy came
or
to
left
New York,
left London, came to New York, and the exact same style
that
murders
just got
occurred.
disproven though.
Did that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's and the guy who had the House of Horrors type thing, the murder house.
They caught this guy in New York and then locked him up or something. But it was like, all right, maybe it was.
And then his great grandson or whatever is the guy who was leading a present day investigation is saying, I think that this guy was actually Jack the Ripper.
Yeah,
that actually just got disproven.
It was like a Norwegian or something like that.
Yeah, but that's what keeps happening.
I like the whole thing.
There are
he
some
was like
theories.
murdering the heir to the throne.
Yeah,
type thing.
that was in
a better
From
theory.
Hell. Yeah, like there was a whole thing connected to the royal family in England, and he was actually. It's cool though, but at the end of the movie, it solves who was Jack the Ripper.
Yeah,
and I like it. I
don't remember the ending, but I remember the film. Yeah, but I don't remember the ending of it.
But I remember there are dark elements to that film. You know, that could be considered horror-ish. I mean, it's about Jack.
For some reason, those opium dens always made me uncomfortable.
Oh yeah,
but that was like a big thing, I guess, back then.
Yeah,
like,
back in
Sherlock Holmes is hopping in them opium dens.
Yeah, basically. But when I was a kid, so what would you say the first movie that scared the shit out of you was? I remember for me it was either Witches, which we've talked about before. That was scary as shit. It was mainly when they're at that convention, the witch convention. They start taking off their earrings and their faces and their nails.
But what's weird about that movie is like we owned that movie as kids. Like we had it on VHS and we would watch it, and we would watch it over and over again, even though it's scary. Like we could keep watching
because it has other elements. It's not all just a scare fest.
It's
but
a kids. It's like a kids horror film.
But the way in which the
Roald
witches
Dahl, man,
look,
that guy,
he was messed up, man. He was messed up.
Roald Dahl,
but. For me, it was probably maybe Candyman. I saw that when I was about 8 years old.
I couldn't watch like as a kid. I felt like I just couldn't watch the adult scary movies. Yeah. But I will say on Witches, like there's a scene in that movie like that. Those scenes disturb me when they pull their skin off and they're like gross underneath and all that. Like that was disturbing. But the most and still today, it still upsets me is when the grandmother's talking to the main character, the little boy, and she's talking about the little girl that was kidnapped. As a child, and then they put her in the painting in parents' house or something, and the little girl was trapped, and she would age. So as like the mother, if they gave up looking for their daughter, they got older and older. Like the daughter would get older and older in the painting as time went on, and then eventually she died, and then like disappeared from the painting altogether. I was like, for some reason, that one scene, just like still today, as a kid, like fuck with me, and I'm like, fuck that movie. Like bullshit.
You were saying
Candyman because I watched it when I was like 8 years old, and that's a heavy movie. It's a tough movie. It's about it's that but also
that's
Clive
Barker. Clive Barker did that.
Yeah, exactly, and it has that thing. They had that kind of real life thing where you could look into a mirror and you can do that Candyman 3 times in the mirror, and Candyman will appear. I absolutely did in dark bathrooms with no windows.
I did that too. I did that too.
The homeboy show up.
Homeboy showed up. We kicked it for a bit. We're good. No, but like it would start to mess with your mind. You would think you would see something. You know, when you did Candyman in the mirror, your mind would start playing tricks on you because you're a kid. You're very imaginative. Yeah. But the movie, like, there's that one scene where she's in her apartment by herself. I always thought this was Gillian Anderson, by the way. She looks a lot like Gillian Anderson, but it's not.
Oh, the chick in the film?
The main girl, yeah.
In the first film?
In the first film. And so I remember she goes to the medicine cabinet and she opens it up, and then all of a sudden his hook busts through the wall behind the medicine cabinet. She freaks out. She runs out of her apartment to the hallway. And it's this long, dimly lit hallway, and he's just standing on the end of the hallway.
Virginia Madsen?
Yes, yeah. And in the movie, she just look a lot like Gillian Anderson.
Yeah.
So she runs out of the apartment into the hallway. It's this long, dimly lit hallway, and he's standing at the end of it.
Yeah.
And he's just standing there with his black trench coat, his hook hand, and he goes, "Be my victim." And I shat myself. It's such a fucking scary
When you get
scene.
like a full body reaction, where your whole body gets like from your toes to like your hair sticking on end, like that full body chill thing you get, like it's a good movie.
Yes.
You're like, they did their job.
Totally. And there's like a scene where
it's been a long time since
there's a scene where a kid goes to a restroom, like a public restroom in like a park or whatever, and like Candyman comes out of the and like chops off his penis.
What?
Yeah, there's like a scene about that, and it's like floating in the toilet. Like, and I'm a little boy who goes to the bathroom.
Are you sure this wasn't Teeth? Is that the...
No.
Oh my gosh! Don't talk about that film.
It's on Netflix now.
It's on Netflix.
Everyone should watch.
Teeth. It's about vaginal teeth.
He hasn't seen it. Nick
I still
hasn't
haven't
seen it.
seen
He
it.
refuses
You need to watch
to
it.
watch
I don't
this
refuse.
classic.
I'll see it, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to
It's a
like watch.
comedy. It's a dark comedy.
I don't think there's anything
One of those
comical
horror
about that film.
It's one of those horror comedies. Like
It's a horror movie specifically for men.
It
Like,
seems
I feel
to
like
take
women
itself
are like,
serious.
fuck yeah, but like men are like, oh my god.
It's
the
basically
worst
about a
movie.
woman who has teeth in her vagina,
Yeah.
and whenever men try to have sex with her, they like cuts off their penis. Right?
Like it has a mind of its own. It
it
just
chunks
you
their
know,
yeah.
chunks.
It's like a Venus flytrap.
God, I was thinking of another movie and I cannot. We're talking about Candyman.
Yeah, movies that scare the shit out of you when you were a kid.
You know what movie?
Oh, there was a movie I was thinking.
I'll
of
jump
that-
in
All
since
right,
you
think
think
about
about
it. Yeah. It'll come back to me.
The Howling.
I still haven't seen that.
The werewolf one from like 94 or something like
91.
that. 91. Yeah.
I just looked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That film
Oh, I got it.
was the thing that got me.
Really?
Because I always was like, it wasn't Dracula, it wasn't anything else. It was just werewolves that always were able to get me, and The Howling was my jam. That's
Was
where,
that
like,
Jack Nicholson or no?
No,
no.
that's Wolf.
That's Wolf.
Okay. That's a
Yeah.
great fucking movie.
That's a
Michelle
great-
Pfeiffer,
yeah.
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more psychological than
Yeah, that's not particularly
Yeah. A
very
horror film.
scary. Yeah.
So wait, there was the how. That's the Stephen King one.
Yeah.
No,
Silver
no.
Bullet. Silver Bullet.
Silver Bullet was
All right,
Stephen
all
King.
Silver Bullet's from the
And
80s.
this is not an American Werewolf in London.
No, that's John
It's
Landis.
called The
and that's
Howling.
in the 70s.
God damn
it!
That's
I've
like-
never
called
seen
The
that. I feel like I've seen it. I know
Yeah.
that I've heard this term. You know, the title is
It's
filmed
called
more.
The
The Howling.
Howling.
It's just
Yeah.
another werewolf movie, but it's from the early 90s.
Yeah.
American Werewolf in London is actually a really good one.
Actually, there was like 8 of them.
There's
But
a-
it just got really like, all right, you guys just like
Yeah.
messing with it.
I think I did see this.
Real quick,
I think I did see this.
remember what you were doing, Neil, but like real quick, the scariest moment of all time in cinema, come on, is the Thriller video where Michael Jackson turns into the werewolf. Can I get an amen? I'm not gonna get no amen.
I love
for
that.
Wow.
To me
It's
that
not
was
scary.
fun.
Yeah.
that was fun.
Well,
It was
I mean, the scene where he actually not the thing where they're all zombies or whatever, but the scene where he's turning into a werewolf. I'm kidding. It doesn't scare the shit out of me, but it is a kind of a fucked up scene. And it's John Landis who did American Werewolf. Are you trying to do Thriller?
boom.
Anyway, American Werewolf in London was John Landis. He also directed the Thriller video.
Yeah,
so he
he did.
added an actual horror element to it where Michael starts, "Get away from me!" when he
Oh,
starts
and they got
turning
homeboy to
Rick Baker.
no. The narration at the end on the song.
Vincent Price.
Vincent Price. The guy was on his deathbed, and they actually Michael Jackson convinced him to be in it.
He wasn't on his deathbed. I like how you
he was
made that
very
up.
old.
He was in Edward Scissorhands like
yeah, but
eight
he
years
surely
later.
died after Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, but that was 8 years later.
Have you guys just like retired?
Have you guys
I'm just
ever
saying
seen
he wasn't on
the
his deathbed.
All right.
So, like, he was like
I
dying.
feel like if an actor retires, they're on their deathbed. That's how I look at it. When you stop working, you're on your deathbed. That's
Are you
how-
serious?
That's how I,
Have you seen
never
Hemlock
retire.
Grove?
Never
Retirement equals
never
death.
Sean Connery.
Have you ever
That's
watched
my-
Hemlock
that's my-
Grove?
Hemlock Grove, the show. It was a show
It
on
was a show.
Netflix, right?
Netflix.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen it?
You
You have to just watch
I am familiar
the
with it, though.
werewolf change in that. It was the nastiest.
Is it nasty?
It is so nasty. I'm like, this is just
Monster
like,
Squad's
wrong.
pretty nasty too. He starts spitting that shit out of his fucking mouth, like that white foam starts
Oh my-
squirting
But see that,
out of his mouth.
These the like monster movies, like I love the Universal classic stuff. To me,
Yeah.
that's like fun Halloween.
Yeah.
Like if I want to have a
Yeah.
fun Halloween, I would watch like I would watch Bram Stoker's Dracula. There's so many
Frankenstein.
Dracula variations.
Yeah, those old school
Frankenstein.
Universal movies, the Universal Monsters, Universal
Yeah.
Studios. You know what's one
Mary
of my
Shelley's
favorites?
Frankenstein.
One of my favorites from then was The Invisible Man.
Yeah.
The Invisible Man.
That was a cool movie,
That was
yeah.
a really good movie.
Yeah.
I forget when it was from, like the 30s.
You can watch Hollow Man with Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, if you wanted a newer one, Hollow Man, that's fucked
That's
up.
Paul Verhoeven.
Verhoeven. Jesus Christ.
That was disturbing.
RoboCop, Total
That was
Recall.
disturbing.
No, but the original Invisible Man, the guy who played him, I don't remember who it was, but the guy who played the Invisible Man is fucking great. And the effects still hold up.
I don't
And
think
he
I've
just-
ever seen it,
He starts
actually.
he starts just seeping into madness, kind of like Hollow Man, but
Yeah.
it's less on the nose almost. I just really love the performance of that original Invisible Man. It's a black and white film, but it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so the movie that
You were
there was a film that I felt like for a lot like disturbing. Like I watched a lot of horror movies. All right, so the timeline is like I hated horror movies, watched Scream, loved horror movies, started watching horror movies like a crazy
I think they got a
person.
lot of people. Scream.
Yeah, Scream for some reason like made horror movies okay to me.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
thrillers and stuff like that. So I started watching all of these films that were like considered classics, and I just watched all the all the Halloweens, all the Friday the
Exact same
13th, all the
story
Nightmare
for
on
me,
Elm Streets. And then I went to the movie theaters to watch a little remake called The Ring, which
Oh, wow.
was God, I cannot remember the name of the director. He did Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, Gore Verbinski.
Gore-
Gore Verbinski, yeah. So this is a remake of a Japanese film.
Yeah.
It was like kind of like that this weird time period where it was like the first introduction of like Japanese horror into America cinema, where they had like the little girls with the long hair and it was like covering their face and they were like demon ghost things or whatever.
Yep.
And I watched that movie and goddamn, if I didn't like that scene at the end. So there's a scene at the end where the little girl like crawls out of the TV and then kills a guy. And then there's another scene, which is like the final ending of the movie that where you actually understand how you stop the girl from coming to kill you in 7 days.
Right.
And it's so fucked up. It's like because I recently watched it again and I'd forgotten. I was like, oh my God, like this is a fucking dark ass shit movie. Like the way it ends. I don't know if you guys remember. You guys have seen The Ring?
Yeah, but it's been a while.
Okay. So the way you stop this little girl from coming to kill you. This is a spoiler. It's been out for like 20 years. So
It's not been 20 years.
It's been
Like 15 years or so.
It's been 15 years. Is that it?
It's a 2000s movie, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. The movie was a big deal at the time because it made a shit ton of money, like for a rated R film. But I'm just going to spoil that anyway. So I don't know how many. I mean, the movie itself is great. Like this ending doesn't really, it kind of spoils a little bit, but whatever. Fuck it, I'm going to do it.
You don't want, you're feeling,
your
conscience
you're making me feel self-conscious. Do you care?
I'm not protected.
Have you
know
seen
me.
it?
Yes, I've seen it.
Okay,
I'm not
you've
protected.
seen it. Okay, so
It's been a while, so I don't remember. So I'm almost feeling like, don't spoil it for me if I want to rewatch it.
You can use your
bag. What?
You can protect it. Remember, there's the rule. You got one protection.
Go do it.
Are you sure?
No, don't do it.
Don't do it.
I feel like we're gonna spend 20 minutes on this. Like,
Can we move?
Let me just say.
All right, go ahead, do it.
Okay.
Do it.
So the way that you stop this little girl from coming to kill you after you've quote unquote accidentally watched the tape. So you watch a tape. You have 7 days.
Kill yourself and you win.
No. You have to actually sit down with another person and get them to watch it.
Oh, it's fucked up.
Yeah.
And transfer her over to them.
That's so fucked
That's
up.
how. And I was like, what the fuck? And I completely forgot about that because Naomi Watts should have died.
Yeah.
And she didn't. And she thought at the end of the movie, you think that it's because she confronted the little girl and found out all her secrets and blah, blah, blah. No. That's not it at all.
Right.
She showed the movie to the guy, her ex-boyfriend or whatever, and then he gets dead.
That's the secret.
And then her son had
Show it
watched
to your
the
ex.
film.
Show it to your ex.
So there's a scene where she sits down with her son, and her son has to play the film for someone else to transfer it off of him so
her.
she doesn't come kill the son, the little girl. And I was like, God damn, this is... And then at
lady-
the end of the movie, she drops the movie off, or maybe it's at the end of this movie. I feel like at the end of one of maybe it was the first or second one, she like sits the movie down at like a Blockbuster,
Right.
like a blank VHS tape, sits it on the shelf at Blockbuster, so somebody will like grab. And I was like,
It's fucked up.
that's horrible.
That is horrible. We didn't talk
It's
about
the
a
gift
whole.
that keeps on giving.
That's right. We didn't talk about a whole kind of area of horror, which is the found footage horror. Like Blair Witch Project made that very
I was
popular.
actually going to bring that up right now.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I was going to think about. I was going to say, of course, Blair Witch was
That was kind of the first
controversial,
one- it was the
and it
first one who
actually
did it.
changed how horror films were made.
That's right.
Yeah, and there was the whole PR campaign.
Oh,
behind
man,
it. I thought it was real.
That's
I
what-
was like,
yeah,
this is a
exactly.
real found
Yeah.
footage.
That's
Like they
what they
found the
did.
footage. They edited it together. I was telling my friends,
Yeah.
like, dude, these guys are dead, and they found this footage. It's
Yeah.
crazy, man.
They
Yeah.
really fucking psyched you out, like, because they got no name.
But then I saw the actor on like Rosie O'Donnell's show or something. The actress guy. I was like, what? They're actors? I got tricked by Hollywood.
Yeah, you absolutely did. It was smart. It was a smart campaign.
It was incredible.
Yeah, it was smart.
It was like a incredible like campaign. It was just like they just rejuvenated how horror films were made.
And it was made for like no money.
Because I still
Not
remember
far from here. Not far from
17.
here.
Maryland,
It was
yeah.
made with. I think the total was $17,000. That's how much it cost. 17.
I believe that. It's all done with camcorders,
because it was
basically.
done with college. It was college students.
Yeah.
That's the people that did it.
Yeah.
And I still, I don't care. People like say, that movie was horrible. It was down camp. No, that movie was
it's
fucking
solid.
amazing.
It scared the shit out of me too.
The last scene, I still
at the in the basement?
Yeah, I still remember the person running down the basement and seeing the friend.
Because
run-
it's just
yeah.
it's like it's hectic as shit, and then all of a sudden it's stop, and it's just
Yeah.
it's a fucking freaky ending. It's actually was really.
I feel
well
like
done.
a whole lot of nothing kind of happens. The whole movie.
That is
because
part
I
of
was
the
a little
thing about it.
disappointed. But then
Yeah.
when that scene at the end happened, I saw it in theaters, and when that scene at the end happened, I was like thoroughly upset.
Yeah, when
I
you
was like-
if you think of it like
But you
just like a
gotta
little
think of-
documentary thing, a little bit like it's just that them walking around with the camera is like that makes it unsettling. That
Yeah.
makes it kind of more real. It doesn't feel so Hollywoodish.
Yeah.
where you're like, oh, there's obviously 20 people behind the camera, on set, and they're like they do makeup in between. And no, it's like fucking guerrilla. Like
Yeah, and there have been
beyond-
a
you
lot
don't-
of
you don't
those
see-
films
you're
since
right.
then, and some
Yeah.
of them have been really good.
yeah.
Paranormal
Paranormal Activity.
Paranormal.
I enjoyed the Paranormal
Yeah.
Activity movies. I only watched 3 or 4 of them, but I think there's like 5 or 6 now.
That first Paranormal Activity movie was
first
made for
two.
like no money.
Yeah, it
like
was.
like a couple, like $1,000, like whatever the equipment cost.
Yeah.
movie made
It
like
was literally
$100 million.
the guy
If you
did
haven't
it.
seen Record, you need to watch Record too. That's
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I have heard of it.
it's
I don't think I've
REC,
seen it.
but it's Record.
Yeah.
Right, and then there's but like Paranormal Activity, the guy filmed it in his own house with a couple actors.
Yeah.
and it's really well done because a lot of nothing kind of happens in that film too, but there's enough that happens that's fucking unsettling because it's all done with just cameras around the house,
A little wire
or
work.
or
I
his
think they
ca-
like tied like a wire to like his wife's foot or something
Yeah,
like that, and like yanked her. Or
Oh,
something
there was like a scene like in the middle of the movie
Everybody
where
tried to
like,
copy the-
like there's some sort of poltergeist ghost thing in this house that they moved into, and they're a couple, and there's like a scene where she gets up in the middle of the night and walks over to his side of the bed and just stands and stares at him for hours.
And they just fast forward.
And they fast forward, it just fast for like 3 hours
Yeah.
pass, and then that's it. Like it's fucking freaky, but this crazy shit
Yeah.
that happens, and the very end of it is very unsettling and very cool. And there was actually a rumor going around that Spielberg actually directed that ending because they changed it once they studio bought the film.
Really?
The way in which they did it. Yeah, I don't know if that ever got confirmed.
Oh,
they were
wow.
saying that Spielberg may have directed that very last scene. But the second one was really fucking good. The third one, where they had the oscillating fan, where they put the camera on the oscillating fan between the two rooms, so it would slowly go one way.
and then
And then
Oh, yeah.
slowly go there. And you don't know what's gonna be on the fucking shot when it goes to the other room.
What's
And then
great? What's
it was
scary about that is that
smart.
relates to the average Joe. That the viewer that's coming is like, I live in a home kind of like that. I have an oscillating fan. I
Yes.
have a baby monitor. I have
Yeah.
these like. My significant other sleeps next to me, and I'm, if I wake up and then she's like sleepwalking and staring at me in the
This ain't
middle of the
gonna
night,
work.
I'm like,
This ain't gonna work.
Yeah, well,
we got to sleep in separate beds or something. I'm gonna put a deadbolt on my door.
Seriously.
Fuck this shit.
yeah. So that was another movie. I guess it wouldn't be horror, but there's definitely horror elements to it. Is Cloverfield.
Yeah.
Which is kind of found footage-ish. It's supposed to be from the
first one.
POV. Yeah, the first
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a POV of a guy with a camcorder.
Right.
And it's really interesting because it's like a Godzilla.
Like a Godzilla alien invasion, but
because it's a
from-
singular viewpoint, it gets
Yeah.
more horror-ish. Like when they're walking through the subway station, the subway tracks, like
Yeah.
the tunnels. And then they look up, and those little fucking
Little
things,
creatures,
little
yeah.
creatures, and they bite one of them, and one of them explodes. Like one of the women who gets infected, like explodes in blood at one point.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. There's definitely horror elements to it in the
Yeah.
very end of it. But I love that movie. I love the way it was
I do
done.
too.
Yeah.
How about 28 Days Later?
Oh yeah, that
trying to
I feel like
remember
that
if I saw
reinvented
that.
to a large degree the zombie
Yeah.
thing because they made the zombies like fast, and you get infected, you turn in like seconds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not like 24 hours or 48 hours, like literally within. There's a scene in that in the first film where God, I forget what the actor's name, British actor, and like he's sitting there, and then like a bird or something like is chewing on some eyeball of a infected zombie person, and he looks up and a piece of blood, like a blood drop, falls into his eyeball, and then he immediately starts to turn. He's like,
turning,
and he tells,
yeah.
and it's the father, and he's like telling his kids to get away from him. And he's like, get away from him, and then he starts to turn, and I was
That
like,
makes it
was
scarier.
but it was like it's scary, but it brings that human element into
Yeah.
it, where like the families are being broken up because the father turns into a zombie, or the child turns.
Right.
How does a parent have to, like, as a parent, like. Your kid becomes a fucking
Right.
psychotic zombie, and there's no way to handle it,
fucking
other than immediately shoot him in the head.
I fucking remember the scene where he left his wife and he's running for the boats
Yeah.
because of the zombie, and he left his wife and then he had to like
On the
survive
second
with his-
one.
on the second one.
Yeah,
had to
28
survive
weeks later,
with his,
yeah.
with his kids.
That was so fucked.
It was so, and then they find his wife, and his wife was like a little bit immune to it, and
Yeah.
it's that movie like it changed because it didn't film. They didn't film it in high quality. They almost filmed it in
Like
like
guerrilla
some, not even the film quality.
Yeah.
It was grainy. It was like almost felt like
Did-
you're watching something
Did
from
Danny Boyle
80s.
do that movie?
Yeah.
Danny
Yeah,
Boyle.
I think
he did
he's
both
a
of
great
them.
director. He did Train Spotting and
Sunshine.
Sunshine, Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, he's great. But like we were talking earlier about like the horror comedy. You obviously had Scary Movie, but that's not really what I was talking about. More of like Shaun of the Dead Zombieland, where they actually took they actually did zombies well in those movies,
Yeah.
but they added a humor to it.
Right.
So they're funny, but they were also set in real zombie situations that would be in a real horror movie. They look like real zombies. There were scares in there like real zombie movies, but there was enough humor to break it up.
Yeah.
I love Zombieland.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Shaun of the Dead, both
Yeah.
of those.
Have you seen The Mist?
No,
We did
talked
talk about this. Yeah,
I
you haven't.
seen it.
Okay.
I haven't
But you've seen it, Diego.
Oh yeah, I've seen them.
So it's hard to talk about because you haven't seen it. And it has a very controversial ending,
Yeah, here.
which is not the original story is based on a Stephen King
Yeah.
short story, and the way that ends is different. I mean, Frank Darabont, who directed The Mist, could have ended it that way and it would have been totally fine as a film, but he chose this other ending, which is extremely dark. But in retrospect, I was like thinking about that ending because I saw that film and I loved it, and everyone I saw it with hated it, specifically because the ending. Like, if that ending didn't happen, they would have been totally fine with that film. They would have enjoyed it. They would have loved it.
It's funny how it happens.
Like, all-star cast, like so many great people are in it.
99% of the movie can be great. 1% sucks, and people are like, "That's terrible." That ending, man.
It's not because it's a bad ending.
Closure.
It's because it's such a shocking, jarring. Like, you never forget. You won't forget that ending, and it sticks with you in a bad way. And like a bad thing happens, and you're just like stuck with that. And then it's like credits roll, and you're like, "What?" You're like, "What the fuck?"
Right.
But in retrospect, I was looking at that and I was like, it actually makes sense for the tone of the entire film. I mean, the storyline of The Mist is more or less, you take a group of people and then you surround them by all these terrors, these unknown terrors, because the mist rolls into this town. Everyone runs into a supermarket that has the entire front face of the supermarket is just like a sheet of glass. It's like 15 feet tall by like 200 feet wide of just glass. And it's all mist.
Right.
And then the mist embodies and they hear noises, and anyone that goes out into the mist, they just hear screams and like monster shit. And they're like, what the fuck is going on?
Right.
Clearly it's dangerous in the mist. We can't see what's killing people. So everyone becomes trapped.
Right.
And then they start to slowly, individuals start to slowly lose their minds and
go against each other.
Yeah, they start to create little groups here and little groups there, and then they become there's this one chick who's the super religious chick that takes it to this extreme where she's we need to sacrifice people to appease the monsters, and they won't eat us if we make a sacrifice.
How does your mind get there?
Yeah, and to me it was this is 24 hours after, or 48 hours after shit hits the fan. They're talking about sacrificing children or whatever, and you're like, all right. But it's that's how, in a weird way, I love that because it shows you how fragile human beings can be. Yeah. In these situations, you put them in these dangerous situations and they just break down.
Right.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate, but it's more real than unreal.
You guys got to witness that when you guys went to the Purge house.
Right.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Seriously.
Yeah, that's what I'm
that
saying.
group mentality, that
Those
mob
guys that were
mentality.
kill that one. I was
That mob mentality.
dude, if we had a real purge, these dudes would be. So many people would be into a real purge.
We'd be the first ones killed because we'd be like, this is morally reprehensible.
Yeah. We would be
Kill
like,
that motherfucker.
Do not touch me, sir. You get that.
Yeah, seriously.
it's true. But the ending, once you see this movie, the ending of that film actually makes sense in a way. To kind of, it follows that theme of this unknown, coming up with the best you can in this terrifying unknown.
Right.
Yeah. Because the scenario they present at the end, you're you could go and you could fight. Anyway, I don't want to spoil it.
Okay. You know what?
You should watch it. It's really good.
You know one film that is still to today gets me because, like I said, the thing that gets me is when you take purpose out of what the killer is doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is The Strangers.
The Strangers?
Yes.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That movie still gets me because throughout the movie, there were so many opportunities for the killers to kill them, but they just don't do it. And at the end of it, they do it. And Liv Tyler, asked the question, why are you doing this?
Right.
And their simple answer was because you were home.
Right. That's ridiculous.
That's just
it gets disturbing when there's actually just pure insanity and evil, and they will literally just destroy somebody, somebody's life, torture them, do all these things, not for any particular fucking reason other than they felt like it, or the person happened to be crossed their path or whatever. Yeah. That definitely makes it worth.
That reminds me of that Last House on the Left film.
Yeah.
It's a similar concept. Other than these people on a drug-fueled binge, there's no reason for them to do what they did.
Straw Dogs had a similar...
I never seen it.
I never saw it. Yeah. It had a similar just craziness to it. It's that was a theme in the 70s a lot. It's just these psycho fucking people. It was a Mad Max thing without being post-apocalyptic. Kind of like present day. Even the Dirty Harry movies, the first Dirty Harry movie, the Scorpion Killer guy, it's Scorpio or Scorpion. He was just insanity. Just complete madman. Yeah, just
well, they're unpredictable. Yeah. If somebody's, if I ran over some guy's daughter and he decides to get revenge, that's revenge. It's understandable. All right, you're coming to kill me because I fucked up.
Right.
But if you just are killing people because it's just you decided it's what you like to do, there's no way to predict.
There's no predictability.
And that makes it more terrifying because you cannot accurately predict
Yeah.
who they're going to kill or how they're going to do it or why they're doing it. You don't understand. There's no understanding with it. So you're just like more terrified.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you can't control chaos. Just real quick, does anybody know what their scariest movie of all time is? Like for them?
That's hard, man.
That's very hard.
It would be like top 5.
Because I'm more
Because
involved.
I'll tell you, we're going to probably title this episode "What's the Scariest Movie of All Time?" Because that was kind of what the whole idea was. I'm like,
you have
we might
one?
as well.
Do you have one? Yeah.
I fucking absolutely do not. I have no idea.
All right. Well, great.
But I'm just like, we should just like look. I'm curious.
So why don't we name
What's
it
the movie that scared the
essence
shit out of you the
horror?
most? Like the movie that you would say it'd probably be one that when we were younger. Because if we're not going to get scared today, what would be the scariest movie for you?
I think you just made it difficult by asking after we talked about all these films.
Yeah, but it could have been one of those. For me, probably the one that scared me. I mean, I remember Candyman was really scary when I was a kid, mainly because it had that extra element where you just say Candyman in real life. You can look into a mirror. It kind of had this bring it into the real world effect. It was like, try doing this thing at home, kids. Fucking look into a mirror and say Candyman. You don't know what's going to happen, so you get nervous. After watching that movie, every time you look into a mirror, it was kind of scary. It was a little bit fucking freaky to look at your own reflection.
Yeah.
I'm going to say The Howling. When I was a kid, I'm going to say The Howling. That was because it was very disturbing. I mean, I still remember the scene vividly where they reversed the shots to have the hairs grow out of when the werewolf was turning.
Right.
So they have hairs and they pull the hairs in, but when they played it in the movie, they reversed it to see the hair coming out. It's just how they did.
It was like the makeup stuff.
It was
like
the makeup stuff. Yeah, I
scary.
think at that time, it was very disturbing as a kid to watch that film. So, and I think I watched it when I was like, 9, 10 or something like that.
The Exorcist and The Shining were also two ones that really fucked me up as a kid because I watched those when I was really young. I was like 10 years old.
I didn't see The Shining until I was way older, and it did disturb me the first time I watched it. But
The Exorcist was worse though than The Shining for me.
It's hard because I want to say The Ring because that movie that movie stands out specifically as something I saw in the theaters, did not know what I was really going into.
Yeah,
like I think I liked Naomi Watts or something at the time, and I was like, oh, I'll see this movie. And,
right.
Don't kill her. She's cute.
Yeah, and I was like, it looks interesting. Like, oh, it looks like a fun, scary.
Right.
And then it was just like
Put a ring on it.
That movie, it has such a stylized thing, and I'd never really seen something like that where there are scenes where they show the tape. Like when you watch the tape, it's the disturbing tape. There's like fingernails being peeled back and like flies and weird flashes and just this surreal imagery. It's a very abstract tape when you watch the tape, right?
Yeah.
Then they keep showing you like more and more of it as you get closer and closer to the end of the film. Like they show you more and more and more, and then they show the real. So there are elements of that were really scary to me, but that I don't know. I mean, then there's like a film that I watched that I'd never seen before that I'd heard about a million times. I heard about the character and I never watched, and I thought, you know what, I should really watch this because I'm familiar, to some degree with this character, and it was Hellraiser.
Oh yeah. Oh Jesus.
And I was like, fuck it, I'll watch it. So I watched it by myself, and I'm like, fuck this movie.
Fuck that movie.
That movie disturbed. And I was a grown-ass adult watching
Yeah.
it by myself, and I was disturbed in my room watching this goddamn movie.
I watched it as a kid. I am possibly by myself.
I'm so glad I never was exposed to that
movie.
as a child.
I didn't want to bring that up as like the scariest movie of all time because that movie just goes beyond scare to me.
It's just terrifying.
It's terrifying. It's
but in a weird way.
Yeah, but like a not even a gross out way.
Like
but
an under your skin way.
Yeah.
Like you're not jump scary or you're not like screaming. You're just like, at the end of it, you're just like, ugh.
It's like complete madness and insanity in the back of your mind that you never access.
Yeah.
Brought to fucking real life and put on film. I do not enjoy
it. Was like this
the
whole
movies.
theme is
What
like
about
sex and
Poltergeist?
pain.
Poltergeist never was more of a Spielberg kind of a horror film. I never got
Poltergeist
scared
to
of
me was like a
Poltergeist.
fun. I know it was scary, but it was
I think it was
fun.
even produced by Spielberg. It's Spielberg's
It was,
films
I
are
think.
not.
Toby Hooper directed that.
No shit.
The first one.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Texas
Toby
Chainsaw
Hooper?
Massacre directed Poltergeist.
Fuck out of here.
Yeah.
How did I not know this? I know this
Really?
crazy.
You didn't know that?
That's a good
Yeah.
call. What about the Texas
he did a great
Chainsaw
job.
Massacre?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because it was very indie, it
Yeah.
was disturbing. Now, Night of the Living Dead, which really kind of like jump-started the whole zombie thing, wasn't a very scary movie to me, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of did what...
Fuck that movie.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre did what Night of the Living Dead
Which
failed
one are you
to
talking
do.
about?
The Night of the Living Dead? The original one.
No, the
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. The
original, okay.
original
Yeah.
original
The first
film
version.
that Toby Hooper
Wait,
did.
what's
It
your
was very
scariest
indie.
scene?
It was very indie.
What's
Yeah.
the scariest scene in that? Because I'll tell you my scare. The
Well, you
scene
tell
that
me.
really threw me off.
What? Tell me.
There's a scene
Kitchen.
There's a scene at the end where they're in the kitchen and like their whole family's there, and you see the dead body, and you think it's a dead body, and then they cut the chick's finger, and then they stick the finger in the mouth of like the dead thing, and then it starts sucking on her finger, and I was like, well, I'm out.
But that
I was
movie,
like, fuck this movie.
that movie was just like a few guys kicking around did that
I
fucking
know.
movie. That's what makes it even freakier, and you could see the grittiness of it and the
Oh, and
raw.
Leatherface is like his energy level and
Yeah.
his like non-stoppedness was like just too much for me.
Yeah. But so that movie, but Night of the Living
wouldn't
Dead,
stop.
Night of the Living Dead, which was done just a few years earlier, didn't really reach the level because that was also a very indie, small production.
Yeah.
But I felt like Texas Chainsaw Massacre was like the rock and roll version of what Night of the Living Dead could have done. But
It was
like,
more hectic.
Yeah,
it was like
it was
there was
crazy.
a frenzy
It was
about
frenzy,
Texas
yeah.
Chainsaw Massacre.
It's very much not a fun.
The
it's not a fun
remake
movie, but
of that
it's-
was actually really good.
I didn't see
also.
the remake.
The remake. You should
Michael
check it out.
Bay
Yeah.
produced or directed.
I don't know if it was Michael Bay.
I think he produced
the one
it.
with,
because he produced the
what's her
Nightmare on
name?
Elm Street remake and
Oh,
there
it
was
was
another one.
really-
He
There
might,
was the
he might
Friday
have.
the 13th
Yeah, I'm not
remake
sure.
he
But
produced,
it was
I think.
really good. It was done.
Yeah.
They like
Jessica
paid
Biel was
homage.
in it.
Yeah, they paid homage to
Yeah.
the original. It was really good. But how about? So let's take. I guess we'll. No, I don't know if we should just go anymore because I think we keep going.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard because there's so many. Like I was gonna ask, would you consider? Let's go. I wanted to kind of get back into a classic because that's what we do. Jaws, a horror film.
Again, it's Spielberg. I don't feel like I love the movie. Like I
Yeah.
think Spielberg makes a movie that's not just pigeonholed into horror, but it's always slightly family friendly almost. Even Jaws, it never crosses a point of being disturbing. Like he's still trying to engage a very large audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all of his films. Poltergeist, though he didn't direct it, he produced that one. Jaws. Yeah, he doesn't do this thing which is.
He brings in small elements.
I feel
of,
like Spielberg
scary.
isn't. Yeah, I
He's-
feel like
it's a
Spielberg
light-
likes people still.
Yeah.
He's not trying to fuck you up. He's not trying to ruin your psyche.
It's like
and
light
ruin your
horror.
life.
You know what it is?
Yeah.
It's like 90, I would say like 95% of all media, television, film that's ever made is written from to more or less end on a happy
Yes.
note.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's that small 5% that's only really a small amount of individuals, and it's only kind of become more popular recently that end on a negative.
Yeah.
And those ones seem to stick with me more because I've just been trained my
Yeah.
entire life to expect the good guy to
Yeah.
win at the end, and there to be like a bright, sunny,
Hollywood ending.
Hollywood ending.
Right
and
up into
then
the
I watch,
sunset.
I watch a fucking movie, and I'm like, I watch like a David Lynch movie, and it's like the exact opposite. It's like
Right.
way worse
Right.
than it should be. And you're
Yeah.
like, and you have to leave the theater like, I
Yeah.
paid money to be
Right.
upset.
Right.
Like it pisses me off.
Right.
But I talk to a lot of people that hate horror movies, and it's specifically because they're like, why would I want to watch something that's going to upset me? And I'm like, well,
Why do you
most
wanna-
horror movies don't upset me because they end with them killing the bad guy.
Yeah.
So it's a win.
Right.
It's just the thrill. It's the adventure of like.
You watch a movie
Yeah.
for the emotional experience. That's
Yeah,
what I
and
think.
that's what
what
horror
I do.
does. Horror is like
Yeah.
an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, it's an emotional
It's kind of
roller
like if you're into like just seeing if it can do something to you, if you're into the thrill of it,
Yeah.
then it's interesting, and that's kind of what it's become for people.
So this Halloween, make sure you guys get yourself a great Halloween film.
Yes,
Watch it with a lot of people.
Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus. Yeah, there
If
you
you
go.
don't want to be scared and you want to have fun, watch Hocus
you-
or
Ho-
Casper.
Hocus Pocus
or
was,
Casper.
Yeah, or
that
Casper.
takes place during
So if you
Halloween.
Hocus
don't-
Pocus was filmed right down the street from my grandmother. Actually.
Oh yeah.
So if you don't want to be scared, watch Hocus Pocus. If you do want to be scared, watch The Witches.
That's true.
There you go.
There you
There
go.
you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us at Get to the Podcast. That's Get to the Podcast with the number 2. My name is Diego D'Souza.
I'm Nick Gambino.
And I'm Neil Carson.
And we all float down here.
We've done that one before, Diego.
Well, I don't got nothing else.
Oh. Boom boom.
Thriller.
Boom boom. Now you gotta like drag your feet.
Thriller. Yeah. People are gonna see us do. Shh.
You gotta do the sound effects.
There you go.
That's why it's like shh. But that was the whole reason to do it.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.